Good morning, everybody. We are live again for episode we don't even know because we stopped counting.
That's
of
right.
The Eagles Nest podcast. My name is Brad Brewer. I'm with Coldwell Banker on the Eagle Homes team. I'm here as always with my cohort.
The more attractive Vince Duvall with Eagle Homes, Coldwell Banker.
That's opinion. If we were in court, I'd object. I'm watching a lot of Suits episodes right now.
There we go.
I just started that. I've been told a lot, and I'll introduce, and then we'll get to our questions here. We are with, and this is one of my struggle words, mayoral candidate Jon Schultz. Now, if you're watching live, he's mayoral candidate Jon Schultz. By the time we get this edited and get this out on YouTube, he may or may not be Mayor Jon Schultz.
Mayor-elect.
Mayor-elect Jon Schultz.
All these stages.
Yeah, when's this when's it go to effect if you're elected?
It would be 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Okay, so
Okay.
he would be mayor-elect Jon Schultz, or he would just been 2024 candidate Jon Schultz. So we're gonna interview Jon today. We're gonna ask a lot of questions. We're gonna dive into some personal stuff, professional stuff, and leadership questions. But yeah, my Suits questions. So I've been told for 5 years, dude, the Suits show, you would love it. And I just would never watch it. I started watching it 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
I've had
crap.
I've had a binge here or there. I'm not gonna tell you what season we're, but I'm addicted.
It's a great show. Good way to go down that rabbit hole.
Thanks. No problem. All right, so let's fire off with why we're here. We're gonna let's ask the tough. They're not all tough. They're not any of them are tough. Let's ask some questions, Jon.
Yeah. So
fire
let's
away.
Jon, so tell us a little bit about your background and what made you want to run for mayor.
So I've been on the city council for 11 years. I've lived in Burlington for 20. I moved here with a 9-month-old. He's a freshman in college now.
Oh,
And I proceeded to have kid after kid after kid. We've got 4 boys, so my house is a tornado. I love it. It's an absolute tornado. The whole reason I do city council even is I love being behind the scenes of things, understanding how it actually works. Right on the outside, everything's black and white.
right. Yeah.
Do this and do that. Oh, gee, thanks. I didn't think of that. Right. On the inside, there's 49 variables that go into everything. So as long as I'm still learning and having fun, that's kind of my litmus test. And I have an election every 2 years. And every 2 years, if those were true, learning, having fun, and being effective, then I do it again. And so it's I tend to end up in leadership positions just by virtue, I think, of my curiosity, honestly.
Yeah.
And so this was the next logical step. I don't need to be on city council for 30 years. It's time to move up or move on.
Okay. Awesome.
Well, that just threw about 2 more questions in my brain, which we'll probably get to.
Don't forget.
So you mentioned your boys. What are the age ranges of your boys now?
They're 12 through 19. So
12 through 19.
they're all 2 grades apart.
Okay, so basically your grocery bill is massive at this point.
Yeah.
Over 1,000. We go shopping. We have like pick and save pickups every 2.5 days.
You've dipped into college funds to pay for it. So, sorry, that little sidebar that just popped out when I heard the age. So no, now you've been on city council. So what are the time commitment differences? Is it similar, different? What
Between council and mayor,
yeah.
it's not radically different. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not different. It's for sure different, right? But what's neat is I'm also the city council president, which was voted on by the other members of the city council. So it doesn't mean I get pulled into everything, but I get pulled into more meetings than I would have otherwise, coupled with the fact that my office is, I don't know, 50 feet away in the Merc, right? So I work downtown and I own my company, which means I can kind of play hooky whenever I want, right? In fact, I'm going to a meeting at 10 o'clock today at City Hall.
Okay.
Should I be working? Yeah, probably, right? But I'll work, at 11 o'clock tonight and make up for it.
Yeah, what is your business, by the way, for people who may not know?
Yeah, I started a company in college with another guy. It was 25 years ago, so that tells you how old I am. I was between my junior and senior year. We own a couple of computer data centers. So you hear the term the cloud, right? The cloud is just a building with computer servers inside of it.
Oh, nice.
So we've done that for 25 years.
So you're a techie a little bit.
I am, yeah. At least in a previous life. Now I'm just a dumb business guy.
No wonder I like him. I'm a kind of a techie geek sometimes, but you know way more than me, so. So speaking of, you got mayor, you got a business you run, you got a wife, 4 kids. What do you do? What do you do in your, what little free time you might have? Of course, the free time, maybe run around the kids. What do you like to do in your spare time?
Well, my kids like to joke that I love meetings, right? Why am I involved in everything? Because I like meetings, right? I don't actually like meetings. I do like learning stuff. I have my kids are in a lot of sports. I've done quite a bit actually, right? So a lot of my free time, as you alluded to, is spent around kids, right? So a lot of my volunteerism is around that as well. So I spent all 4 of my boys are in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts. My oldest is an Eagle. Second should be getting an Eagle Scout soon. But when they were in Cub Scouts, I was the leader of Cooper Cub Scout Pack 335. So because of their age ranges, like 2 years apart and all boys, I spent 10 years involved in Cub Scouts, as they kind of move through that 5 or 6 year window. So that was one of the things I did quite a bit. I've also coached Kiwanis soccer, which is hilarious because I spent the entirety of my life making fun of soccer. So I was one of those guys. So karma says, aha, soccer.
Now you're a coach.
Not only will I give you 4 boys that play, you will therefore be a coach. But everybody knows Bob Frylas. Bob was great and taught me everything I didn't know I wanted to know about soccer or was afraid to ask, all that, whatever that saying is. And I coached, and I loved it. And I've got 2 boys in high school now that are on the high school team. I've coached baseball with one of my other kids. Yeah, lots of kid stuff.
You may have just answered it, but I'll ask you directly. What is your favorite sport?
Oh, baseball.
Baseball?
Yeah, baseball's where my heart. Like I like watching football.
Okay.
But my heart is in baseball. I grew up as a baseball player. I'm thrilled that my freshman just made the freshman baseball team. He allegedly has his first game tomorrow, but I don't know if you've seen the weather.
Yeah, it doesn't look too
And
promising.
the rain, and then like the 7 inches of snow that follows.
Yeah.
So,
Welcome to April.
Yeah.
in April.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, we need it. It's the spring. Actually, from what I'm hearing, the lakes are full.
Yeah.
Right.
So one of our buddies that lives on the lake on Browns Lake, like, lake's full. I'm like, yeah, well, don't worry, because usually by July 15th, it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But well, cool. That's awesome. I figured the kids would take up a lot of your time. And now, did you play any other sports other than baseball, or?
So I played baseball. I played 1 year of football in
Yeah.
high school and then got in my head and decided not to go out again, which, there's lots of regrets you have in your life, like quitting piano lessons and not continuing football, right? I also ran track. So actually, in high school, I ran track. I was a varsity letterman all 4 years. We set school records all 4 years. I was pretty fast back in the day. I'm pretty fast now for an old guy, but I don't know if that counts when you're 46. I went fast in air quotes.
Well, I guess the question is, can you outbeat your sons? Who's faster?
So in 100,
Oh, it's close, huh?
I'm gonna still say I could do it.
Okay.
That might be wishful thinking.
I like it.
I was a sprinter though, like 100 to 200, right?
Yeah.
So you run a mile, that's like way too many times on the track. Forget that.
That's fun. It's so funny how in track and field, I did a little bit of track in school, and like the best sprinter isn't necessarily even the best midterm or long term. Like it's a different training.
Oh, it's a totally different, I mean, totally different sport.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 102, that's a straightaway or halfway around the track. That was far enough. It's all out for 24 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm done.
It's funny because I was good at the 400 or 800, and I equated that because I played one of my sports in high school was basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And basketball, it's like a
Endurance.
lot of endurance, but there is that occasional pause in the game, free throws, timeouts, whatever. That's like I always equated. Like I was really good at that midterm, horrible long term. I did cross country, I think, for 1 year, and that's when I decided to pick up tennis. It's like this is more in line.
Yeah, big difference
So
there.
I'll pretend I can beat them at sports, but I won't wrestle them. Like it's been years since I could wrestle my kids.
Really?
Yeah.
And when they're little, you can do it, but then they start teaming up on you. And I'm like, okay, boys, that's not fair.
Right.
Like, one at a time. And now, like my 12-year-old, I'm 5'10", and my 12-year-old is taller than me.
Wow.
Oh,
So
Full count.
I've got some big boys, and You know,
Yeah.
I'm smart.
You value your flexibility and yourself more than that right
In
now.
my general life.
Yes.
Grocery bills actually worse than I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
What so you're not doing Boy Scouts, you just did Cub Scouts, you're not
I was in Cub Scouts, yeah, and then, I was also, last year, I was president of the Rotary Club.
okay.
And I've been on city council, right? So my involvement in scouts kind of, I don't want to say stopped at Cub Scouts, but as I kept shooting older kids off in the Boy Scouts, I still had a younger one in Cub Scouts.
Right.
So I stayed down even while three of them may have been up
In Boy Scouts, yeah.
And then
So
that kind of concluded.
interesting fact, I'm also an Eagle Scout, so
Oh.
that's impressive that, you got one that's an Eagle Scout, another one on the way, so good for you.
I think it'd be cool to get all four. Like
Yeah.
I think it's pretty possible.
Yep.
There's a little motivation and.
Especially at the younger ones, right?
Well, honestly, they always say you should get your Eagle before you're 16, right? Before
Yeah.
you have a car, and before you have a job, and before you have other interests.
Yeah,
right?
more distractions.
More distractions. So we're in that. My second kid is 7. He's got like 9 months left. So,
Okay.
but he's got his project picked out at the high school. He's got a plan, but he's got to put it
stay on
together.
task. Yeah. Myself and my two brothers we're all Eagle Scouts. So good. Yeah. Good luck to you on that. So, get into, run for mayor. What specific initiatives or policies are your priority if you're elected?
Well, listen, my passion, the whole reason I fell in love with this city. We moved here 20 years ago, just about 20 years ago, and I didn't know anything about Burlington. And we were checking, I came from Illinois, like half of the city. It's a dirty little secret because I'm based in Illinois at this point.
That's me.
And we looked all around Lake Geneva, Williams Bay, Delavan, but we kept coming back here. And I remember the first time I parked across the street from what is now Zampanos, probably in front of Mays Insurance, or that building, the Bank of Burlington building. And we walked up and down Pine Street and had lunch at Pizza di Roma, which was Zampanos before Zampanos. And to this day, I don't know what the word is for the feeling in Burlington, but something felt different here. And something to this day feels different here. I have not been able to figure out the word for it. I wish that I could, because there's so much I try to encapsulate in this feeling. And it was absolutely the right decision moving here. I feel so blessed and so lucky to have found like this amazing community that pulls off projects. We have like 10, 11,000 people. We're doing things no other city our size is doing, right? The amount of, the level of forward thinking and the level of generosity that I've seen in this place, holy cow, blows my mind off, both from like big financial generosity down to just a dude running Cub Scouts or coaching a baseball team. Right, and you see that all over the place, all these Kiwanis coaches and all these softball coaches and baseball coaches and all these parents that are super involved. It doesn't happen everywhere.
Right.
That's quick. It's pretty different. So
it's funny you say that. So as realtors, we obviously work with people that move in from out of state, from Illinois. And throughout my career, a lot of people say, well, we'd like to be in this area. They might not even say Burlington, but they'll pretty much, whether it's Waterford, Lake Geneva, whatever. Lake Geneva gets mentioned a lot because it's more known, right? Especially coming from the Chicagoland area. And I'll have them I used to have them meet me at a coffee house. I still do sometimes, but there's other places now too. So let's meet here and let's talk about where you want to be, because I'll meet with them when we're doing our consultation when they come to town to start looking at properties. And probably 90% have ended up being like, they may not have ended up purchasing in Burlington, but it ends up being their preference.
Right.
And I think it has to do with a lot of that same feeling. And I say, because I think the majority of people in town are super nice, and the business owners are really nice. I mean, I feel bad because I could list 100 of them, but it was funny. I was buying a pair of shoes, which, recovering from the fire and everything.
Yeah.
And, went in there and I'm like, it's been years since I was a little kid. And I joked with the lady. She got the little foot measuring thing out for my size. And I chuckled and I said, "You just do this all the time?" She's like, "Yeah." Because I bought probably one other pair of shoes and since my wife went and bought it for me, I didn't even go in. And I'm like, nobody's done this since I was probably like 12 years old. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like, that's just little stuff that you don't see, you know, even in other small towns, just that level of service. So I totally get that.
Well, it's almost like we've gone back in time 50 years. It's like we took 50 years ago and planted it in 2024.
Yeah.
Right. It's a modern take on 50 years ago, which
Yeah.
God forbid, all that means like apparently is service, right? Treating people nice,
Right.
right? Is that what that means? You know? I don't think I answered your question though, but the whole point of that story was
Yeah.
my passion is downtown. Right. So one of the big projects that we have to undertake is we're going to reconstruct downtown, you know, from sidewalk to sidewalk. We've all seen those bricks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're all disintegrating. I'm sure they look great 20, 25 years ago. But this is just a normal road project, right? But what this leaves us with is a once in a lifetime opportunity to reinvent a bit of what downtown is.
Yeah.
Right? To reinvent the flow and the priority of people versus cars. I think
Right.
downtown is a place for people. Doesn't mean your wife's talking. Doesn't mean that we get rid of cars, right? Maybe we close the loop, maybe we don't, you know. But the priority has to be people and spaces and outdoor dining and events, right? And because this is the gathering place, you know, you go to Chestnut and Pine, you know, we get Zapanos and the coffee house and everybody on that corner credit, man, that is the heart, right? There is the heart of Burlington. So it's gonna be a mess, man. Tear up downtown,
Yeah.
gonna be a disaster for a little bit.
Yeah.
But coming out the other side, if we do it right,
Right.
we could be a destination for people like me who live 3 or 4 blocks from downtown. And I'm gonna spend 98% of my time in the city and 98% of my money on local shops and restaurants, right? I want a cool place to go,
Right.
right? I also want other people to come here and spend their money too.
Yeah, I think that's, I'm noticing that with the business owners. There's kind of like a lot of business owners have retired and we're getting this younger generation of business owners coming through Burlington. And they're creating that, I don't want to call it a revitalization, but they're really making it very lively downtown. And I think with the city partners with that, it's gonna be pretty cool. I get asked a lot of times, like, well, is Burlington like Lake Geneva? You got Lake Geneva and people are walking around everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, Burlington's starting to get that. We've got, I don't know how many now, with just the little things like you see in cities like Chicago and Milwaukee, outdoor seating in front of restaurants on the sidewalks. That's awesome. And I know there was pushback for years on some of that, and it's not anymore. It's really cool to see how that is. And I am, just so you know, I am a fan of closing the loop for driving through. I think it would be awesome to just have that a walkthrough. I think it'd be really cool.
I think you could do it. I think you have to have a broader conversation of what is the vision for all of downtown. You can't just do that in isolation. but
Sure.
You could maybe
Right.
do that as part of the broader vision. Or at least facilitate, maybe the loop gets closed Friday through Sunday, as an example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, at least facilitate easier closure of the loop.
Yeah.
Cause do you need it closed, I don't know, in the middle of winter? Yeah, maybe not. Do you need it closed on a rainy Tuesday night? Maybe not. We'll see, but your Lake Geneva comment was funny too, right? Because
Yeah.
for years, you hear the comment like, yeah, Burlington's all right, but it's not Lake Geneva, right? I want to have some ideas for downtown.
Yeah.
I want every light pole, you know, we have like those historic banners up there right now,
Mhm.
if they're even up, I don't even know if they're up.
That's
I
what
want,
they switch your
I
mind.
want each one to have a saying on it. Like maybe we'll have some art contests for the schools, but I want like, you know, who's Burlington? Well, Daily, right? Burlington, right? They can have a Burlington in front of theirs,
Yeah.
right? The Merck, small town love, right? They could
Right.
have their little saying in front of theirs. One of the sayings is going to be Burlington, Wisconsin, USA, not Lake Geneva. And that is going to be a badge of honor,
Right.
love that.
right? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be Lake Geneva.
Right.
Right.
I want to be Burlington. I think we can be different and better than Lake Geneva, which you have to avoid between Memorial Day and Labor Day, because it's just a mob of people,
It's a mess.
right?
Yes.
I don't want that level, right? But I want something that's cool and different. And you know what? It's okay to be not Lake Geneva.
Yeah, and I think we've got, like you said, those good core businesses now that are. And this is not to say, like, we had great owners, you know, the main event, John's main event, John was a great bar owner.
Yeah.
Very involved and still loves the community, still lives in the area, in the community. But the Beckendorf brothers took over and I love it. You know, they're doing something a little bit different, but it's still the main event. It's still very cool and vital.
So
So,
what's cool is you see this across the board. You see the next generation of Burlington forming, right? Of all
Right.
these leaders, all of these business owners are people our age, you know, thirties, forties, early fifties.
Right,
You look at this place, Bevan,
yeah,
you know, you look at Low Daily and the coffee house, you look at the main event, you look at all the little shops that are opening.
archives, which.
Look at you guys, right, here running a podcast, you know, look at me running for mayor.
Yeah.
Right, this whole new generation that is building on all of those great people that came before us.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that laid, you know, yet another course of break on this thing that we're building,
Mhm.
and now it's our turn to lay our course. And make it a little bit better for the people that come after us.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I could say like I've been in the Burlington area about 11 years now, and it's exciting to see the downtown area grow and how it's just expanded over that time, and seeing the the businesses and things like that. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'd say when you get elected, but we're not there yet. So
About,
yeah.
I don't know, 18 hours.
Oh, right.
What's the time? 21 hours.
Yeah, so
So all these great ideas, obviously, there's always an economic piece to it, so what has to be done to promote some of this economic development, which also comes with job growth, what's that vision look like?
Well, the crisis in Burlington is housing costs, and that's not a Burlington problem. I don't think that's a Wisconsin problem.
He's gonna throw us under the fire in this question.
It's, I don't know, a Midwest problem, a US rural problem.
Yeah.
We've got a couple things. I mean, we've built an incredibly attractive community that people want to live in. We have not built houses in forever, right? You get a little bit in Murphy, you get a little bit in Stonegate.
Yep.
Got the new thing we talked about earlier going in on A. The city has a big one going in
Mhm.
south of the bypass on 83. It's gonna help a little bit, that's gonna take a while.
Right.
In the meantime, end of the day, we're still a manufacturing city.
Mhm.
And we gotta be careful. I want our houses to be worth a lot of money, but people that work here have to be able to live here. So there's not an easy solution to this,
Right.
mortgage rates are insane, construction costs are insane, there are all sorts of factors totally out of our control.
Yeah.
We can nibble at it, right? We can maybe change some regulations, ease up on things. Like it or not, there's always subsidies involved in development, and as someone center right who is wary of government, which is hilarious. I'm running for mayor as someone who's leery of government. You have to, we're competing against Waterford and Union Grove and other places,
Mhm.
so like it or not, like you gotta compete. We can stick our, flag in the sand and say, no, we're not gonna do that, and that's okay, then they're just gonna go somewhere else.
I 100% agree. I've been talking about this, and not completely, but the problem nationwide really was triggered from the real estate recession that started in 08. Because you had probably that point 4 or 5 years, 6 years for some people, that all those people from those 4 or 5 years that would have entered the housing market didn't. And then it really started because then those people started to enter in about 2012 through then what we've got now. So that's part of it, because that starts what? I mean, real estate is not necessarily recession driven, plus or minus. I've given these numbers a ton of times.
Yeah.
4 of the 5 last recessions, the real estate market, if it dipped like 1 or 2%. It really is not impacted. Historically, it continues to go up. But it is very much so, it's more economic, it's supply and demand. We've just been so low on supply that demand is, of course, gonna drive
Well,
prices up.
supply is low, and we all have our 3% mortgages that we don't want to give up.
Right.
Right. I don't want to trade that.
I would love to be a part of this, and I've talked to some developers. There's a way to create, and I don't think we gotta get down to affordable housing being 150,000. Well, geez, just more than 200,000.
Maybe not 375.
Like even the
30, whatever the average is.
Yeah, there's some ways to develop some condominium developments, which I think Burlington actually just needs more condominiums anyway. But that's a great purchase for a new homeowner or someone who's then downsizing. And I think we've got to look at that and the way we can make it affordable. And having those points being around 200,000. And I know it's a tough thing. I definitely don't have all the solutions. I have some ideas. So
That's a whole other episode, but you have to have a wide range. You have to have entry level housing for new homeowners. You gotta have, housing for people like me with 4 kids. You gotta have housing for people soon to be me that are shooting kids off to college in the world.
Yep.
And then, at some point, like Yeah, it was a dream to have like a yard and a white picket fence, you know
Yeah.
what? At some point, you're tired of mowing the damn grass, you
Right.
know, and you would
Exactly.
just like somebody else to do it.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think those are different things that come up, and it's funny, every conversation always tends to come back around to housing.
It is, and then,
So-
you know, your real question is growth, right? You know,
Right.
and I keep you hear this, Burlington is not business friendly. I hear that, I've been hearing that for 11 years, and you know, again, it's like everything. I get a truth over here, I get a truth way over here, and the reality is somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
Right? So can we be better? Yeah, we should. I mean, that'll be one of my focuses to understand where this vibe comes from.
Mhm.
Because we can always have a better process or better communication. But like this overall notion that we're not business friendly, I'm astonished by it sometimes because that's all we talk about is how do we get businesses and how do we facilitate, right? So clearly there's a disconnect, and
Yeah.
I'm very interested in digging on that one.
So sorry, because I think you kind of led into questions on here that I'm gonna skip down a little bit is. Yeah, to do that, some things the government gets a bad rap for in general, not Burlington, just in general is. Communication with its citizens, getting its citizens' input. So how do you do that?
It's really hard, right? Because something will come up, any issue, and then the reaction is, you know, from people in the community, well, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you ask me?
Right?
Right? Well, you know, I don't want to be sarcastic, like I didn't know to call you, right?
That show's full of sarcasm. So
I
go
didn't
ahead.
have your number and didn't think I needed to call you specifically about this one issue,
Right,
right? So it's kind of this shared responsibility as citizens in this republic, right? End of the day, it's our own responsibility to stay informed.
yep,
I can't rely on somebody else to tell me. That's a flippant answer. I get it. I don't pay attention much more than anybody else. I read a headline. I know what I know because I'm involved.
mhm,
The average person isn't paying attention.
Right.
Maybe we post it. We probably do post stuff on Facebook. Doesn't mean they caught it. Might end up in a paper. We can't really control what goes in the paper. Doesn't mean they caught it.
right,
Right? So, I don't have a great answer to this, you know. Being on the government side, it's frustrating, and being on the citizen side, it's also frustrating because I see both of the sides. And as a citizen, I want more information too. So, I don't have a great answer other than it's something that we need to focus on. And I'm open to suggestions on this one. Right?
Yeah.
Of how do I tell you the thing that you want to know when you want to know?
Well, and I think you nailed it on the head right there is a lot of people don't seek the information. You know, us as end users, we don't look for it on, Facebook or on the city page or, go to meetings, things like that. But then we're the first ones to point the finger when we don't have it. So I think we as, the end user, we have to, if we want the information, we have to try to seek it out and then know where to get it when it's provided. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Like,
Yeah, but then so much of life, you know, as somebody in government, in quotes, right? Not my fault, but it's my problem,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And that's not that black and white. Again, we can be better,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be the shared dance that we have to better figure out.
well, I like I like that comment, shared dance. So I was taught this by a former manager, and ever since then, anybody I've ever managed or worked with, I've always had this same requirement. And I think our citizens need to take this approach with the city. Don't come on to me and complain about a problem if you don't have a proposed solution, right? Now, granted, do you want 10,000 solutions proposed or whatever our population is now? No, but don't.
I mean, I'd rather have 10,000 than zero, right? I'd rather have people chime in while there's still time, you know, while we're talking about something instead of after the fact when decisions
Right.
have already been made.
Right.
But the reality is, I get it. It's only in the paper after a decision's been made.
Right.
You know, and so again, I don't want to turn this into like people are, they're elected not doing their job as citizens, right? Because it's not that easy, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I get it. I don't know what I'm missing. Like, I'm not looking at your meeting minutes, so I don't know what you're talking about. You know, is that my fault? Yeah, sort of, but
Right.
That's all. I mean, I get it, and I don't think there's a great answer to how you handle communication, especially because there are so many formats of it now. And I'm not gonna pick on the press, but, I mean, they're a business too. Sometimes I complain about news organizations because of their headlines. Their headlines are trying to grab ratings and readers and all that stuff. I get that because often I'll read a headline and then you actually read the article and it's like, well, the article's not bad, but your headline's like really And I get that, and I think it's a balance for them too, so I'm trying not to pick on media, because I do that a lot. But I think it's just responsibility.
Yeah.
So I think it's a tough one. I give you credit. That's a tough question. See, I told you we'd keep this easy, and that was actually tough. But yeah, so we're gonna wrap up here. We're pretty much done. One, I want to thank you for your time. Closing message to people that the vote's tomorrow for those who are listening live. So I'll let you close it with anything you want to say.
Yeah, you know, I think I'm just so thankful to have this opportunity to have been adopted by this community. You know, but the joke used to be you live here 3 generations or you're new. Right. And I don't take that approach anymore. I've raised 4 kids here. I've poured my heart into this place. I've volunteered for this, that, and the other thing, you know, nonstop. And it's been a privilege to do it. So I hope that I get elected tomorrow. I hope I'm having a celebration around 8:10 tomorrow night. And if not, you know, I know that I've ran a great campaign and I've given a lot to this place. So.
And knowing you, I know you know, your opposing candidate, Karina. I know you guys have a relationship. I've heard, I wasn't able to get to your debate, but I know it was very cordial. And I think I know you'll work with her too, because there's a passion for the community there. So that's pretty cool for 3 guys that are implants to the community, that I know we all have a shared passion for Burlington. I'm Indiana, by the way, I'm not Illinois. Just to be clear. But all about 20, well, I don't know how old for you, but I know I was 25 years ago, literally.
Yeah, it's 2005, so
I was
19.
Yeah, I came to the area in 1999. Man, I was okay. All right, anything else, Ben?
No, that's it. John, thank you so much for your time today. We definitely appreciate having you on, and good luck tomorrow, and wish you the best. So everyone have a great day. This is Vince Duvall with Eagle Homes.
I'm Brad Brewer. Thanks again to Jon Schultz. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you soon.